The star Proxima Centauri glimmered faintly in the viewscreen of Outpost Horizon, humanity's first deep space colony. Captain Amelia Chen stood at the command center, her dark eyes scanning the latest reports from the fledgling settlement below. After years of preparation and a perilous journey across the void, the colony was finally taking root on the rocky world they dubbed Nova Terra. "Status update, Dr. Foster?" Sarah asked, turning to the lanky man hunched over a bank of holographic displays. Dr. Aiden Foster, the colony's lead AI specialist, looked up from his work. His fingers danced through the air, manipulating data streams with practiced ease. "The atmospheric processes are at 82% efficiency, Captain. We should have breathable air planetside within 3 months." Sarah nodded, allowing herself a small smile. They were ahead of schedule, a rarity in the unforgiving realm of space colonization. "Excellent work, Aiden. I think we might actually pull this off." As if the universe itself took offense at her optimism, alarms suddenly blared throughout the command center. Red warning lights bathed the room in an ominous glow. "Report," Sarah barked, all traces of satisfaction vanishing from her face. "Multiple contacts," shouted Lieutenant Rodriguez from the sensor station. "Emerging from some kind of spatial distortion, nothing like we've ever seen before." Sarah's mind raced. They were light years from Earth, far beyond any potential human threat, which could only mean first contact, she whispered, a mixture of excitement and dread coursing through her. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a sight that made Sarah's breath catch in her throat. A fleet of sleek, biomechanical ships hung in orbit around Nova Terra. Their hulls shimmered with an iridescent, almost organic quality that defied human engineering. "They're hailing us," Rodriguez announced, his voice tight with tension. Sarah straightened her uniform and took a deep breath. "On screen," she commanded. The alien that appeared before them was both familiar and utterly foreign. It had a vaguely humanoid shape, but its skin was a mosaic of metallic scales and pulsing bioluminescent patches. Multiple eyes blinked in unsettling patterns across its face. "Greetings, beings of Earth," the alien spoke, its words translated by the ship's computer into a flat, emotionless tone. "I am Zorax, emissary of the Collective. You have trespassed into our domain." Sarah stepped forward, hands clasped behind her back to hide their slight tremor. "I am Captain Amelia Chen of the United Earth Colony Outpost Horizon. We come in peace and had no knowledge of any prior claim to this system. We are eager to establish diplomatic." Zorax cut her off with a gesture. "Your intentions are irrelevant. This world falls within the prophesied expansion zone of the Collective. You will evacuate immediately or face eradication." The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving the command center in stunned silence. "Options?" Sarah demanded, turning to her senior staff. Dr. Foster spoke up first, his usual easygoing demeanor replaced by intense focus. "Captain, their technology it's like nothing I've ever seen. The way their ships interface with space itself, it's as if they're a merge of biological and artificial intelligence." "That's fascinating, Doctor," Sarah replied, a hint of impatience in her voice. "But how does it help us survive?" Aiden's eyes lit up with a dangerous glimmer. What if we could communicate with their ships directly? Eye to eye? Lieutenant Rodriguez scoffed. "You want to hack an alien armada? That's insane." "Maybe," Sarah mused, considering the impossibly advanced fleet arrayed against them. "But it might be our only chance. How long would you need, Aiden?" The scientist ran calculations in his head. "To develop a neural interface capable of linking with alien AI. A week, maybe 2 if we're lucky." Sarah's jaw clenched. "You have 48 hours. I'll try to buy us some time through conventional diplomacy, but be ready to implement whatever this is." As the command center erupted into frenzied activity, Sarah stared at the alien ships looming over their fragile colony. Humanity's first step into the cosmos had led them straight into conflict. Now, It would take all of their ingenuity, determination, and a healthy dose of audacity to survive. Little did they know the true nature of the threat they faced, and the unique power humans possessed to overcome it, was beyond anything they could have imagined. The next 48 hours on Outpost Horizon were a whirlwind of activity. Captain Sarah Chen had engaged in tense negotiations with Zorax, the alien emissary, buying precious time for Dr. Aiden Foster and his team to work on their desperate plan. Sarah stood before the colony's governing council, her face drawn with fatigue. "The collective has given us 1 week to evacuate Nova Terra," she announced, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "They claim this entire sector is part of their destined expansion zone, according to some kind of prophecy." Councillor Patel, a seasoned diplomat, leaned forward, "And they won't consider a compromise. Shared colonization rights, perhaps." Sarah shook her head. "They're adamant. It's evacuation or," she paused, "or they'll cleanse the planet." A murmur of dismay rippled through the council chamber. "We can't possibly evacuate everyone in a week," Councillor Rodriguez protested. "And even if we could, where would we go? We're light years from the nearest habitable system." "I'm aware of the impossibility of their demands," Sarah replied, "which is why we need to consider all options, no matter how unorthodox." She nodded to Dr. Foster, who stepped forward, his normally tidy appearance disheveled from days of non-stop work. "Council members, we've been analyzing the collective's technology, and we've made a startling discovery. Their ships, their very society, seems to be built on a symbiosis of organic and artificial intelligence." Aiden's eyes gleamed with excitement despite his exhaustion. "We believe their entire fleet operates as a kind of hive mind. If we could establish a direct neural link with their systems, we might be able to communicate on a level they can't ignore, or possibly even influence their decisions." Silence fell over the room as the implications sank in. Councillor Patel broke it first. "You're proposing we hack an alien species." "It's more complex than that," Aiden explained. "We're talking about establishing a dialogue at the most fundamental level of consciousness. It's risky, but it might be our only chance to avoid conflict." Sarah stepped in. "I know it sounds impossible, but Dr. Foster and his team have made incredible progress. They believe they can have a prototype ready within our deadline." The council erupted into heated debate. Some argued it was too dangerous, that they should focus on evacuation or prepare for a hopeless battle. Others saw it as their best chance for survival. As the arguments raged, Sarah felt a tap on her shoulder. She turned to find Lai Ming, the colony's chief xenobiologist, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and excitement. "Captain," Lai whispered, "I've been studying the biological data we've gathered on the collective. There's something you need to see." Sarah followed Lai to a side terminal, where complex genetic models swirled on the screen. "Their biology," Lai explained, her voice hushed. "It's engineered for perfect symbiosis with their AI. But look here," she pointed to a specific sequence. "There's a flaw, a kind of evolutionary dead end." Sarah frowned. "What does that mean for us?" Lai's expression was grim. "It means their entire species is slowly dying. I think that's why they're so desperate to expand. They're looking for a solution." The realization hit Sarah like a physical blow. They weren't just facing an alien invasion. They were up against a species fighting for its very survival. She turned back to the council, her mind racing. Could they find a way to save both their colony and the aliens who threatened them? And if they couldn't, how far would humanity go to protect its fragile foothold among the stars? As the debate raged on, Sarah made her decision. "Dr. Foster," she called out, silencing the room. "You have full authorization to proceed with Operation Neural Link, but I want options for helping the collective as well as defending ourselves. We didn't come all this way just to start an interstellar war." Aiden nodded, understanding the weight of the task before him. As the council adjourned, Sarah gazed out at the alien fleet hovering in orbit. In less than a week, they would either make history with a breakthrough in interspecies communication or become a cautionary tale about the dangers lurking in the depths of space. The clock was ticking, and the fate of two civilizations hung in the balance. The makeshift lab hummed with nervous energy as Dr. Aidan Foster made final adjustments to the neural interface. A tangle of wires and unfamiliar alien components, salvaged from a derelict collective probe, formed a chaotic crown around a sleek headset. "Are you sure about this, Captain?" Aidan asked, his voice betraying a hint of apprehension. Sarah Chen nodded firmly, settling into the chair. "We're out of options and nearly out of time. I won't ask anyone else to take this risk." As Aidan began attaching sensors to her temples, Sarah reflected on the past few days. The colony had been a flurry of activity, half the population preparing for a potential evacuation, the other half working feverishly on defenses they all knew would be futile against the collective's superior technology. "All right," Aidan said, stepping back. "The interface is as stable as we can make it. Remember, we're aiming for communication, not control. Think of it like learning a new language, but with your entire mind." Sarah took a deep breath. "I'm ready. Initiate the link." Aidan hesitated for a moment, then flipped the switch. Sarah's world exploded into light and sensation. Her consciousness expanded, reaching out across the void between human and alien minds. For a moment, there was nothing but chaos, an overwhelming flood of information threatening to drown her sense of self. Then, slowly, patterns began to emerge. Sarah felt herself moving through vast neural networks, each pulse of data a thought, a memory, an emotion beyond human comprehension. She caught glimpses of the collective's history, eons of evolution, the merging of organic and artificial, and then stagnation. A creeping dread that permeated their entire civilization. Suddenly, Sarah felt a presence, curious, wary, but undeniably alien. "Who? What are you?" The thought wasn't in words, but in concepts that bloomed in Sarah's mind. "I am human," Sarah projected, struggling to maintain her identity in the face of the vast alien consciousness. "We seek understanding, not conflict." The alien presence recoiled, a mixture of fascination and revulsion rippling through the neural network. "You are individuals, separate. How do you not fragment into chaos?" Sarah tried to convey the complexity of human society, the strength found in diversity, the power of cooperation between unique minds. But the concepts seemed to slip away, incomprehensible to the hive mind of the collective. "Your kind is a threat," the alien consciousness declared. "You will spread, consume, disrupt the harmony we have achieved across galaxies." Sarah felt the weight of eons pressing down on her. The collective had seen civilizations rise and fall, had guided the evolution of entire worlds, but now they faced an existential crisis. Their perfect symbiosis had become an evolutionary dead end. "We can help each other," Sarah projected desperately. "Humanity's adaptability, our genetic diversity, it could be the key to your survival." For a moment, Sarah felt a flicker of hope from the alien mind. Then, abruptly, defenses slammed into place. Sarah's consciousness was violently ejected from the neural network. She came to with a gasp, nearly falling out of the chair. Aidan was there instantly, steadying her. "Captain, are you all right? What happened?" Sarah's head pounded, but her eyes were clear and focused. "We made contact, but they're scared, Aidan. Scared of us, of change, of their own extinction," she groaned, rubbing her temples. "And now they know we can reach them this way. They'll be prepared next time." Aidan helped her to her feet. "But we learned something, right? We can communicate with them." Sarah nodded grimly. "We can, but I'm not sure they're ready to listen." She straightened her uniform, her voice taking on the stern tone of command. "Prepare for another attempt. This time, we need tow." Alarms blared throughout the outpost, cutting her off. Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice came over the comms, tight with urgency. "Captain to the command center. The collective ships are powering up weapons. As Sarah rushed from the lab, her mind raced. Had their attempt at communication been seen as an act of aggression? Or had the collective simply decided that humanity was too unpredictable to be allowed to exist? Either way, the fragile peace was shattered. Nova Terra's fledgling colony now faced imminent attack from a vastly superior force, and their one chance at averting disaster had just become infinitely more complicated. Sarah clenched her fists as she ran. They had come too far, sacrificed too much to give up now. Somehow, they had to find a way to bridge the gap between two radically different forms of intelligence before it was too late for both species. The command center of Outpost Horizon was a maelstrom of activity as Captain Sarah Chen burst through the doors. Holographic displays flickered with data streams showing the ominous approach of the collective's war fleet. Status report. Sarah barked, her eyes scanning the tactical readouts. Lieutenant Rodriguez's fingers flew over his console. Collective ships have formed an attack formation. Energy readings suggest they're charging some kind of gravitic weapon. Our defenses won't stand a chance, Captain. Sarah's mind raced, the alien thoughts she had glimpsed during the neural links still echoing in her consciousness. Open a channel to Zorax, she ordered. The alien emissary's face appeared on the main screen, its multiple eyes blinking in an unsettling pattern. Your primitive attempt at subterfuge has failed, human, Zorax intoned. The collective will not be manipulated by lesser beings. We weren't trying to manipulate you, Sarah argued, fighting to keep her voice steady. We sought understanding, a chance for both our species to survive. Zorax's expression remained impassive. Your kind is chaos incarnate. Your genetic variability, your individuality, they are a threat to the harmony we have cultivated across the stars. You must be expunged. As Zorax spoke, Dr. Foster burst into the command center, his eyes wild with excitement. Captain, I've made a breakthrough in analyzing the neural link data. The collective, they're not just scared of us, they're envious. Sarah raised an eyebrow, motioning for Aiden to continue as Zorax watched with growing agitation. Their perfect symbiosis with AI has led to evolutionary stagnation, Aiden explained breathlessly. But humans, our ability to adapt, to change, to innovate, it's everything they've lost. A ripple of understanding passed through the command center. Sarah turned back to the screen, her voice taking on a new intensity. Zorax, listen to me. We don't have to be enemies. Humanity's greatest strength is our diversity, our ability to find new solutions. We can help you break free from your evolutionary dead end. For a moment, Zorax's many eyes seemed to flicker with uncertainty. Then the alien's face hardened. Impossible. The prophecies are clear. The collective must expand or perish. Your promises of aid are meaningless in the face of cosmic destiny. Sarah felt a surge of frustration. How could she make them understand? Then, a wild idea struck her. What if your prophecies are wrong? She challenged. What if they're based on incomplete data, on a fundamental misunderstanding of the nature of intelligence itself? Zorax recoiled as if struck. Blasphemy. The prophecies have guided us for millennia. And in all that time, Sarah pressed, have you ever encountered a species like us? One that could reach into your very thoughts and offer a new perspective. The alien emissary fell silent, its multiple eyes darting back and forth in clear agitation. Sarah sensed an opening and pressed her advantage. I propose an exchange, she said, her voice ringing with authority. Your greatest minds, linked with ours. Not for domination, but for mutual growth. Imagine what we could learn from each other. The command center held its breath as Zorax considered. The weapons of the collective fleet still hummed with deadly energy, poised to unleash devastation. Finally, Zorax spoke. Your proposal is intriguing, but the risk is too great. The collective cannot be compromised. Sarah's heart sank, but she refused to give up. Then let me prove it to you, she said, her voice filled with determination. One final neural link, not with your ships or your AI, but with you, Zyx'ari, mind to mind. Let me show you the true potential of humanity. Gasps echoed through the command center. Dr. Foster grabbed Sarah's arm, his face pale. Captain, the risk. Sarah cut him off with a look. It's our only chance, Aiden, for all of us. Zyx'ari's many eyes blinked rapidly, considering. You would risk your individuality, your very self, to prove your point. To save both our species, Sarah replied, her voice unwavering, without hesitation. A tense silence fell over the command center. The fate of two civilizations hung in the balance, resting on a decision that would reshape the galaxy forever. Zyx'ari's voice, when it finally came, was tinged with something almost like respect. Very well, human. We will attempt this exchange, but be warned, if we detect any hint of deception, your world will burn. As the transmission cut off, Sarah turned to her stunned crew. Prepare the neural link, she ordered, and pray that we're right about this. The next few hours would determine not just the fate of Nova Terra, but the very future of interstellar relations. Sarah Chen steeled herself for the challenge ahead, knowing that the true test of humanity's strength was about to begin. The air in the makeshift lab crackled with tension as Captain Sarah Chen prepared for the most crucial neural link in human history. Dr. Aiden Foster made final adjustments to the interface, his hands steady despite the enormous pressure. Remember, Captain, Aiden said, his voice low and urgent, this isn't just about exchanging information. You need to make Zyx'ari feel what it means to be human. Our hopes, our fears, our endless capacity for growth and change. Sarah nodded, her eyes fixed on the alien emissary materializing in the center of the room. Zyx'ari's biomechanical form shimmered, multiple eyes blinking in an unsettling rhythm. Are you prepared, human? Zyx'ari asked, a hint of apprehension in its synthesized voice. I am, Sarah replied, her voice steady. Are you ready to see the universe through new eyes? Without waiting for a response, she signaled to Aiden. The scientist activated the neural link, and Sarah's world exploded into a kaleidoscope of sensation. This time, the connection was far more intense. Sarah felt her consciousness expanding, intertwining with the vast alien mind of Zyx'ari. Millennia of history, the weight of an entire civilization's hopes and fears, crashed over her like a tidal wave. Show me, Zyx'ari's thoughts resonated through Sarah's mind. Show me why your chaos is worth preserving. Sarah focused, projecting not just thoughts and memories, but the very essence of what it meant to be human. She shared the exhilaration of scientific discovery, the bitter anguish of loss, the warmth of love, and the fierce joy of overcoming impossible odds. She showed Zyx'ari the long, stumbling journey of human progress, from cave paintings to starships, from tribal conflicts to global cooperation. Every failure, every triumph, every moment of doubt and spark of inspiration that had led humanity to the stars. In return, Sarah felt the collective's history unfold within her mind. She saw their early struggles, the merging with AI that had brought them unparalleled harmony, and the slow creeping dread as they realized their perfection had become a prison. Do you see now? Sarah projected, her thoughts tinged with compassion. Your prophecies of expansion weren't about conquering the galaxy. They were a warning about the need for change, for new perspectives. Zyx'ari's mind recoiled, centuries of certainty crumbling in the face of this revelation. Impossible. We cannot. I cannot. Sarah felt the alien consciousness begin to fragment, overwhelmed by the complexity of individual thought. She realized with sudden clarity that she needed to act fast or risk losing Zyx'ari and any hope of peace forever. With every ounce of her will, Sarah reached out, not to dominate, but to support. She showed Zyx'ari how humans found strength in community, how individual minds could come together without losing their unique perspectives. You don't have to choose between unity and diversity, Sarah projected. Let me show you a new way, a balance between your harmony and our adaptability. For a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, Sarah felt the fate of both species hanging by a thread. Then, slowly, she sensed a change in Zorax's thoughts. Confusion gave way to curiosity, fear transformed into cautious hope. Perhaps, Zorax's mind whispered, perhaps we have been interpreting the prophecies incorrectly all this time. With a jolt, Sarah found herself back in her physical body, gasping for air. She looked up to see Zorax's form flickering, its many eyes wide with what could only be described as awe. We... Zorax stammered, its usual composure shattered. We must consult with the collective. This changes everything. As the alien emissary disappeared, the lab erupted into a flurry of activity. Aiden rushed to Sarah's side, helping her to her feet. Did it work? He asked urgently. What happened? Sarah managed a weary smile. I think we just rewrote the future of two civilizations. Alarms blared, and Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice came over the comms. Captain, the collective fleet, they're powering down weapons. They're requesting to open diplomatic channels. A cheer went up from the assembled crew, but Sarah held up a hand for silence. This is just the beginning, she said, her voice filled with equal parts exhaustion and determination. We've opened the door, but now comes the hard part, building a lasting peace between two radically different forms of intelligence. As the crew of Outpost Horizon scrambled to prepare for the most important first contact negotiations in human history, Sarah allowed herself a moment of reflection. They had come to the stars seeking new horizons, new challenges to overcome. In facing the collective, humanity had not only proven its worth, but had potentially saved two civilizations from destruction. The path ahead would be difficult, filled with misunderstandings and setbacks. But for the first time since the collective ships appeared in orbit, Sarah felt a genuine spark of hope for the future. Humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning. The following weeks on Nova Terra were a whirlwind of diplomatic activity unlike anything in human history. The once threatening collective ships now hung in orbit as silent witnesses to the unfolding negotiations. On the planet's surface, in a hastily constructed neutral zone, representatives from both species worked tirelessly to bridge the gap between their vastly different civilizations. Captain Amelia Chen stood at the head of the conference table, her posture straight despite the exhaustion evident in her eyes. Across from her sat Zorax, the alien emissary's biomechanical form seeming somehow less rigid than before. We've made significant progress, Sarah began, addressing the assembled human and collective delegates. But there are still crucial issues to resolve. Zorax's multiple eyes blinked in what Sarah had come to recognize as a sign of agreement. Indeed, the concept of individual rights within a collective consciousness is challenging for us to implement. Dr. Aiden Foster, now serving as the chief scientific liaison, spoke up. We've been working on a modified neural interface that could allow for temporary individualization within the collective. It's not perfect, but it's a start. A ripple of excitement passed through the collective representatives. The idea of experiencing individuality, even briefly, was both terrifying and thrilling to them. And what of the human colony? One of the alien delegates asked. How can we be certain your expansion won't threaten the harmony we've worked so hard to achieve? Sarah leaned forward, her voice firm but empathetic. We understand your concerns. That's why we're proposing a joint scientific initiative. Our researchers working alongside yours, exploring the potential of combining our adaptability with your technological advancements. The room buzzed with discussion as both sides considered the implications. It was a bold proposal, one that would require unprecedented levels of trust and cooperation. Zorax raised a limb for silence. There is wisdom in this plan, but it will require safeguards. The collective cannot risk losing our unity entirely. Agree, Sarah nodded. We'll establish strict protocols and oversight committees. This isn't about changing who you are at your core, but about opening new possibilities for growth and understanding. As the negotiations continued, Sarah found her mind drifting to the incredible journey that had led them to this point. From the brink of annihilation to the cusp of a partnership that could reshape the galaxy, it was almost too much to comprehend. Hours later, as the session adjourned for the day, Sarah stepped out into the alien sunshine of Nova Terra. She found Aiden waiting for her, a cautious smile on his face. "We're really doing this, aren't we?" he asked, a hint of wonder in his voice. "Forging an alliance with a species that was ready to wipe us out just weeks ago." Sarah nodded, allowing herself a small smile. "It's what we do, Aiden. Humanity has always been at its best when facing the unknown, when adapting to new challenges." They walked in companionable silence for a moment, watching as human and collective representatives mingled, tentatively attempting to understand each other outside the formal setting of the negotiations. "You know," Aiden mused, "I can't help but think about all the other civilizations out there. How many have destroyed themselves because they couldn't bridge gaps like this?" Sarah's expression grew thoughtful. "That's why what we're doing here is so important. We're not just saving our colony or helping the collective. We're creating a model for the future, a way for radically different species to not just coexist, but to thrive together." As if to emphasize her point, a group of colonist children ran past, laughing as they played a game that seemed to involve mimicking the multi-limbed movements of their new alien neighbors. The sight filled Sarah with a profound sense of hope. "It won't be easy," she said, watching the children play. "There will be misunderstandings, setbacks, maybe even conflicts. But this is what we came to the stars for. Not just to explore, but to connect, to grow, to become more than we were." Aiden nodded, his eyes shining with renewed purpose. "So, what's our next step, Captain?" Sarah squared her shoulders, a determined smile spreading across her face. "We keep moving forward. We learn, we adapt, and we never stop reaching for the stars, together." As the twin suns of Nova Terra began to set, casting the alien landscape in ethereal glow, Sarah Chen felt a profound sense of accomplishment mixed with humbling responsibility. Humanity had taken its first real steps into a larger, more complex galaxy than they had ever imagined. The challenges ahead were daunting, but for the first time, they wouldn't be facing them alone. The true adventure, the quest to understand and connect with the vast, strange universe around them, was only just beginning. And thanks to the unique blend of adaptability, curiosity, and determination that defined humanity at its core, Sarah knew they were ready for whatever the cosmos had in store.